Welcome back to Popcorn Corner, I'm Dan Draper, and the second film I saw in my double header last night after the small things like these was quite honestly mind-blowing. It's Clint Eastwood's masterpiece, Juror number 2.
It was last October. It was raining, and I hit something.
What are you telling me?
Maybe I didn't hit a deer.
So at 94 years old, Clint Eastwood is still out here making full feature-length films, albeit that Warner Brothers are trying to dull this one down. Honestly, trust me, Google it, I've got no idea why. Strange. This film is a straight up make them like they used to kind of film though, that focuses on a homicide case of a girl who got into an argument with her boyfriend at a bar and was found dead the next morning in a pretty brutal way. Now, with this being one of the biggest names in Hollywood directing this, of course, we had to have some of the biggest names in Hollywood turn up for this one as well. Nicholas Hoult plays Justin Kemp, who's a jaded, recovering alcoholic and soon-to-be father who's avoided jury service the past few times, but can't get away from this one. Bad timing, mate. Toni Collette stars as the prosecuting lawyer, Faith Kelbrew, who, if she wins this case, ensures her seat as the district attorney. So she's going all in on this. One of the best actors I've ever seen on screen, J.K. Simmons plays Harold, who's another juror who's got a little bit of a secret. And Kiefer Sutherland, who plays Larry Lasker, friend and support worker to Justin at his AA meetings, but also is a lawyer that may or may not get called upon. Okay, so back to the story. As I said, it's a couple who fought in a bar, now the girl's found dead at the bottom of a ravine, and the case goes to trial because the defendant, aka the boyfriend, wants to prove his innocence. Faith tells the defense lawyer that this is an open shut case and says that her client shouldn't go to trial, but he's adamant. So here we go. The jurors are then questioned and selected and the trial begins. After hearing the evidence and the testimonies, most of the jurors just want to get home and voted guilty. But Justin takes a bit more of a logical stance and doesn't want to just throw someone's life away. Now this is odd because as we see the case move forward and getting more info, this ain't a spoiler by the way, it's in all the marketing and the trailers, Justin did it. So you'd expect him to stay quiet, especially with a new baby on the way and getting ready to build a life with his wife. But he is insistent on giving this guy a fair trial and tries to manipulate some of the other jurors into changing their votes. And the whole time I'm asking myself, why? As I said, he's got a steady life now, 4 years sober, a wife, a new baby on the way. Why on earth would he want to implicate himself? He's even got legal counsel from his mate Larry, just in case. Anyway, J.K. Simmons' character, who says he owns a flower shop in town, then reveals he's a 20-year homicide cop that's now retired, which is pretty handy in a case like this, I'd say, who gets close to Justin and thinks it's a hit and run. Turns out he was investigating the case outside of the courtroom, which is a big no-no. And he shared the evidence that he gathered about the cars that was at the bar that night, so Justin makes a bit of a show and gets Harold caught and kicked off the jury. It turns out that Justin was at the bar the same night that the incident happened and was about to break his sobriety after him and his wife lost twins in their last pregnancy. But he didn't drink, he just drove home. On that drive home though is where he thinks he hit a deer, but now he's questioning whether he hit the woman from the bar. So the audience then starts to think, well, did he do it? Is it coincidental? Is it just kind of wrong place, wrong time kind of moment? Anyway, as the film progresses, we see more and more flashbacks from that night. When they go back to the scene of the crime though, Justin's called out by one of the other jurors who suspects something's off with him just by the way that he's acting. I mean, he's not wrong. The jury deliberates a little more, and once the verdict comes back, Justin is nowhere to be seen, which makes you think, oh, actually, is he guilty? But his wife had just given birth to the baby, so he had to be with them. But he voted him guilty after speaking to Larry, who gave him legal advice throughout because they needed a verdict to get him off the hook. When sentencing takes place though, he feels like he needs to be there and watches the life sentence given to the boyfriend, but Faith has already sussed out the truth. Well, after visiting Justin's wife earlier in the film, and noticing Justin was riddled with guilt, he disappears from the courtroom. Faith finds him outside the courthouse and the two have an exchange in which basically he admits that he did it, but twists it in a way to say what justice would it be for him to be taken away rather than a previous criminal that they've already just convicted. He then goes back to his wife and newborn and Faith is promoted to the DA, so all seems to be swept under the carpet at this point. but it's eating Faith away, and she already had some doubts in the trial after speaking to Harold, who gave his professional opinion. Justin and his wife are playing at home with their newborn baby, and suddenly there's a knock at the door. It's Faith. And the two face off with each other, with her looking very stern and him looking terrified. I mean, if she goes after him, he could be locked away for life. That's it, he's done. The credits then roll and you're left with a huge cliffhanger. Now, honestly, I thought this film was incredible. Clint Eastwood has genuinely made a masterpiece. And if this is his last film, or at least his last film with Warner Brothers, then it could be counted as one of his best. Nicholas Hoult was sensational, Toni Collette was clinical in her performance, and although I wanted to see a little bit more J.K. Simmons, when he was on screen, you could tell how much experience that man has as an actor. Also, I would have liked to have seen Kiefer Sutherland a bit more, not just a background character, but honestly, this high court drama is one that I can get on board with. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 5. Honestly, get to the cinemas before this goes out. Case dismissed. I'll see you next time.